pregnant ladies and little kids better get the hell out of the way, because I am running. I'm like Forrest Gump, dude. I am running. So the Titanic was the biggest ship on the ocean, but that didn't mean it was unsinkable. Okay. All right. I want you each to use ombudsman in a sentence next week. I got one for you. My name is Kevin, the official ombudsman of the Just Let's Play podcast. You like apples?
All right, welcome back to another edition of the JPP. We got the full squad back together. We got Pops and Elle. What's going on, guys? Happy Father's Day, by the way, Pops.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Grandfather's Day, too.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's right.
We talked about the other day, yeah.
That's right.
Shout out, and as the great Chris Berman would say, we'd like to be the last to wish you a happy Father's Day this week. There's a lot going on. I feel like we got a jam-packed episode. We got some, of course, the finals is over, and then the Lakers took the steam from the Raptors, just 43. Like, the Raptors had the NBA world's attention for an entire 43 hours, and then the Pelicans and Lakers do the blockbuster trade for Anthony Davis. The Raiders on hard. Anytime we can talk the Raiders, that's always good. So we get a little John Gruden talk with LJ, and then we're going to talk a little goats. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff that we're going to get into today. So let's
Bart Scott. Can't wait.
Speaking of Hard Knocks, shout out to the Jets. Let's jump. I guess we'll start, Dad. It's a little. It happened last week. It's a little past it. The Raptors did their parade now, but before we get into Lakers, let's pay some respect to Toronto. They got their first NBA championship. Raptors winning 6. Can we go ahead and take a moment of silence? LJ is clearly the top basketball mind here on the podcast. The only
clearly, yeah.
We bow down.
But here's the deal. I did not predict that is George R.R. Martin would have written the end of the Warrior season. So.
Wait, what? What? Huh?
I didn't predict George R.R. Martin would have written the end of the Warrior season. So, that's a little out of my league.
I don't get how George R.R. Martin. I don't follow.
Yeah, I'm not following.
Well, because that finals was the red wedding of basketball is what that was. Holy shit.
Yeah, just one player going down, injuries galore. Dad, let's start there, Dad. What just your thoughts, finals thoughts?
First thing that came to mind is I was watching the finals, and I wrote this down at the first quarter at 5:45 in the game. Draymond Green
here we go.
Is uncharacteristically making bad decisions with the basketball. I thought he started out making some pretty poor decisions, and we don't need to get into this, but he was throwing some balls away. They just didn't look in step. I do think Steph, gets a little careless with the ball sometimes. I think he trusts his handle just a little too much. And then Toronto just freaking won the game, just put it away. But now, to be fair, we did talk about it, and I think we were certainly in agreement. Well, LJ called it, and then you and I, Kevin, on our
hopped on my bandwagon.
We hopped on LJ's bandwagon on our NBA-laden podcast that we did without LJ, and we both agreed that Toronto should win the series. They were definitely the better team. Then, of course, KD is out, and then they lose. Clay
goes out.
I mean, there's no way. There was no freaking way. And then Clay
went out ACL.
I think it's an ACL.
Yep.
So how long is that in the NBA? I mean, is that as bad as the NFL's ACL?
It's about a 6 to 8 month injury, I would guess. I mean, they're
about
saying they expect Achilles around February. No, Achilles is a little worse. From what I'm reading,
real bad in the NBA, right?
There's not a whole lot of guys that have come back and been who they were before an Achilles injury. Now, ACL, especially in today's day and age, an ACL injury it's a long rehab, but guys tend to seem to come back and be close to themselves, if not the same.
All day AP put together the model how to fix that.
AP showed you how to win an MVP the following year. So, but it was a good finals. I thought Kawhi was great. We don't have to get all into his averages and everything, but he was great in the finals. But really, it was interesting, Dad. The cast around him really stepped up, especially towards the end. Can we talk? Is Fred VanVleet the best finals performer of all time? I mean, that guy couldn't miss.
I'd never heard his name before these finals, and I am a VanVleet fan, like straight up. That dude was awesome.
He had 22 points. I mean, Lowry had 26. Siakam had 26. All of those guys outscored Leonard. Leonard had 22. That's so matching VanVleet, but it was the other guys that showed up. You're exactly right.
And it was VanVleet late, just dagger after dagger after dagger. It was funny. they had Kawhi was almost a unanimous MVP in the finals, but there was one vote from you probably know this name, Dad, old Hubie Brown, who now does ESPN Radio. He voted for Fred VanVleet for the MVP. I don't know if maybe he thought it was just MVP of Game 6. There's no way VanVleet's MVP of the series, but
no.
Hubie had to go a little off the wire.
Hubie's getting a little long in the tooth, so.
But after the finals ended, there was a lot of criticism thrown to Mr. Steph Curry's name. And it seems like it's the way people are and the internet is nowadays. There's the LeBron fans and the LeBron stans kind of who just have to, as soon as Curry loses, they wanted to make sure everyone gave Curry crap for not being able to pull his team together. Because there's a lot of people saying, rightfully so, I think, as we mentioned, the entire Nuggets team, Nuggets, I don't know where I got that from. The entire Warriors team went down with injury besides Steph Curry. And it looked like, I guess I'll just ask you, Dad, he had a bad fourth quarter. In the Game 6 in general, He had 21 on 6 of 17 shooting, 3 from 11 from 3. Not a great game for him and really not good
at all.
Final quarter. And a lot of people who are not big fans of Steph Curry said he can't carry a team. This is proof. This is all this, blah, blah, blah. What did you think about Steph Curry? Is he fairly getting criticism or?
No, I don't think so. Other than I do think he got a little careless with the basketball a few times, but gosh, he got a good look at the basket on that last three. And he just missed.
He should have hit that one. That's a Steph Curry shot that you expect to go in.
He hits that. There's a Game 7. I think there's a Game 7, which there's no way in hell Golden State wins without.
Now we know they'd be without Clay.
Yeah. But yeah, he hits that. He hits that game winner, kind of like Iguodala. Hit that game winner in whatever Game 4 or 3, and we talked about him being in the Hall of Fame. So Steph hits that 3. We're not even talking about this. He just had a bad shooting game. It happens.
Yeah.
So that's the way I feel. I think Curry's a great player still.
I think I just wanted to say this. I saw all the tweets, and I agree. LeBron's probably better than Steph Curry, but I think the criticism, the people who want Steph to get the same criticism, there's a reason I think LeBron is critiqued at a higher level. Like people just looked at these playoffs and they talk about LeBron's 15 finals against the Warriors where Kyrie busted his knee in the first game, played without Kevin Love. And in that series, LeBron averaged 36, 8, and 13. On 46 minutes a game. That's just insane. LeBron's just insane. And I think the reason the people that got on to Steph are silly is because the reason his criticism and LeBron's aren't the same is because they're not also, when we talk about Steph all time, we say things like he's maybe the best shooter of all time. He might be a top 5 active player, one of the all-time point guards. But when we talk about LeBron, it's just LeBron or Jordan. Like we're talking best player ever. So that's why he's held to a higher standard because he's a better player than Steph Curry. It just is. So I know all the LeBron fans are like, I hope Steph Curry gets held to the same standards. Like, well, he doesn't because he's just not as good as LeBron. LeBron can carry a team by himself because he's done it. Steph can't. And it's because he's 6 foot. And then also those stats about how he missed his shots in the fourth quarter or how he was bad in the fourth quarter of that Game 6. I've never seen a team play defense the way the Raptors played him on him. I mean, as soon as he crossed half court, like 3 guys were running after him. And it was just Steph playing with a bunch of guys who couldn't shoot. Every other guy on the court.
I mean, he better get ready for this next year. That's what it's going to be.
No kidding, LJ. It's
going
to be tough.
Perfect transition, LJ.
Oh, no. Did I segue into free agency?
We're not quite free agency, more trade and free agency. But so as soon as the finals ended, we learned that KD is out for, as Woj tweeted from ESPN, Woj says that they're expecting to be out at least a year. So maybe he's back if they can make it to the finals again. Maybe Klay Thompson, as Dad said, torn ACL. He's out. They're expecting till February. So yeah, the Warriors could be Steph, and we'll see who's beside him if those guys even resign.
Kerr.
So who knows
Kerr
where
would
they
hop
are.
on the court?
Maybe they need some shooting. Kerr could give them better shooting than what they had. But so the NBA was wide open. So we thought if we just saw the Raptors take the gamble and go for 1 year on Kawhi Leonard. So I thought, as soon as it ended, I thought if you're thinking about Anthony Davis, now is the time to go trade for Anthony Davis because the West, all of a sudden, we thought it was the Warriors league. It's wide open. And 43 hours after the finals, the Lakers and Pelicans finally do the trade. And now it looks like the Lakers are Vegas has the Lakers the favorite to win the finals, which is insane. You wouldn't have said that 2 weeks ago.
Did they make the playoffs?
No, they didn't. They were in the lottery. They're picking. They were picking number 4 in the NBA lottery, but they just. So the Lakers made the deal.
God.
The Celtics looked like they're imploding. We'll get into a little free agency, but first I want to go, Dad. What are your thoughts on the Lakers trade? Do you want to talk about what all the Lakers gave up? Because I have it written down if you kind of want to go over.
No, I wanted to clarify something. They gave up Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round draft picks. One will be the number 4 pick this year, and then the other 2 are kind of conditional. I think they can swap them out.
I have them.
Yeah. How do the other 2 first round?
So yeah, they got those 3 guys where Ingram and Lonzo Ball, Dad, like they're good prospects, really high
number
prospects.
2 pick in each draft, right?
Yeah,
in the 2 succeeding draft.
And they got this year's number 4, like Dad said. The Pelicans are talking about maybe trading that for a actual star now, or they'll get another great prospect. And then the Pelicans also get the Lakers 2021 pick if it's top 8 protected. So if it's a top 8 pick, the Pelicans get it. If it's not, then it turns into a 2022 unprotected. The NBA does all these rules, a 2022 unprotected where it just the Pelicans get it. Then the Lakers also are giving up an unprotected pick swap in 2023, which means basically the Pelicans get the option, if they would like to, swap picks in 2023 if they want to. If not, they can keep their pick. It's up to them. Then in 2024, the Pelicans, which, by the way, in 2024, LeBron will be 40 years old. So let's just throw that out there.
Jesus. Whoa.
In 2024, the Pelicans get the unprotected Lakers first that they can, if they want. If they don't like where the pick's at, they can defer to 2025 and get the Lakers next year's pick. So
wow.
I know I'm kind of in the decision of, if you're the Lakers, like we just said, the NBA's wide open. You get a chance to go get Anthony Davis, you get him. But the Lakers, we don't even know in 2024 and 2025.
That's their entire future.
LeBron could be retired. Anthony Davis could be gone. Who knows? The Lakers might be awful, and the Pelicans get their pick again. And at that point in time, the Pelicans will have Zion Williamson, who, from what we think, should be right in his prime. They have Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. A lot of these guys are going to be entering in their prime and maybe have a great pick. It seems like a win-win. Like the Pelicans did fine for themselves. It's the best, to me, Dad, I've seen since all these stars are asking for trades. This is the best return I've ever seen a team get, I think, for a star.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's absurd.
Look at the possible starting lineup for New Orleans. Lonzo Ball at point guard, who, I think is going to be a really good guard. Well, I think he's going to be a really good player.
There's still
Drew Holiday, who, oh, by the way, averaged 21, 5, and 8 last year. DeAndre Hunter, he's the guy from.
Well, that's if
he would be the 4th pick, right?
Maybe there's some people saying Darius Garland's the best.
Darius Garland might be the other guy.
But who knows? RJ Barrett could slide to 4.
Now, was Brandon Ingram the guy that has the blood clots and stuff?
Yeah. So there is some thought. There's a little concern on his injury because he had blood clot issues, made him miss the rest of the year. Supposedly, from everything I've read, all the doctors say he's fine and it's going to be okay. It was just a freak deal, but. We just saw Chris Bosh's career end early because he had the same thing. So it is a little scary.
Well, and then Zion Williamson. So, I'm telling you, that's a hell of a starting lineup that they're going to put on the court. So Alvin Gentry, they just re-signed him. I would love to coach that team. I think that's an up-and-coming team with those draft picks you just alluded to.
Well, and the other thing those draft picks do for them, as we mentioned, that's as we saw with the Celtics, those are just assets now. And let's say the next star, because it happens every single year now, the next star that wants to get out of his contract with the team he's in, the Pelicans are loaded with assets to try to go for him to pair with, as you just mentioned, a hell of a team, at least it looks like.
A young starting lineup, right.
The Pelicans did good, but so I was trying to think of winners and losers of this trade because, of course, you always have to determine a winner and loser. But if you're the Lakers, you kind of put all your eggs in the LeBron basket. You have to go try to win now, and the NBA is wide open with Golden State. I think it's probably a win-win for both teams. And shout out to David Griffin for the Pelicans. I think he just got as much as he possibly could, and boy, did he get a lot.
That's why I think the Lakers could have probably held one of those draft picks. I don't know. I mean, you're right. David Griffin won the deal, and the Lakers may not have done bad because Anthony Davis is that good. I mean, he is a top 2, 3 best player in the whole league. And you pair him with LeBron. LeBron's still got something in the tank.
It's the best teammate LeBron's ever played with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You got Caldwell Pope, who I think is, a pretty slick shooter.
D-Wade.
The Lakers are, D-Wade, you're right. That's probably, thank you, LJ.
Well, is Anthony Davis, well, Anthony Davis is 26 and in his prime. D-Wade's knees were beginning to get shot right as they kind of teamed up, don't you? I mean, I think it's arguable. I think Anthony Davis is the best player that LeBron's probably joined. forces with, personally.
D-Wade's got to be in that conversation. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched Anthony Davis a lot, but
yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll see a lot of them now. The Lakers are going to be on primetime TV probably every single night.
Did you see where David Silver said the other day about how the Lakers already have a 24/7 channel called ESPN?
Yeah, they really do, especially now. It's even more. As soon as LeBron got there, they're 24/7. So now we've seen this happen, whatever the trade, all this. Can I go on I have a little mini rant for you. I haven't done this in a while. It's been football season since the last time I kind of got fired up. But the Lakers kind of just got me fired up. So
all right.
Now, all of a sudden, the Lakers look, as we said, Vegas has them the favorites to go to the NBA Finals this year. And for the past 5 years, it's been like Laker fans are so spoiled and that franchise is so spoiled. It's been a total shit show for 5 years. Let me just read off what's happened for them. In 2013, the Lakers gave a 35-year-old, like 19-year NBA veteran, Kobe Bryant, a 2-year extension worth $50 million, making him the NBA's highest-paid player. We knew it was coming off a torn Achilles. He hadn't even played in 7 months, and they went ahead and made him the highest-paid NBA player. Let's see how that worked out. Over the next 3 years, the Lakers went a combined 85 and 181. That would be a winning percentage of 32%. Then, at least they wasted a lot of money, but at least they got in the lottery, right? Well, and let's see how that went. In 2014, they drafted Julius Randle with the 7th pick. He walked last offseason for nothing. They just let him go in free agency. Then, in 2015, they were projected the 4th, but the lottery gods just worked out just so well for the Lakers because why not? They jumped to number 2, drafted D'Angelo Russell, who now looks like he might sign a huge deal, looks like a solid NBA player. What did they end up doing with D'Angelo Russell? Oh, they packaged him with the terrible 4-year, $64 million contract they gave Timothy Mozgov that no one understands why. They just packaged him to get rid of that contract in 2016 to a trade with Brooklyn for the 27th overall pick. So they just gave him away for a salary dump. Then in 2016 and 17, the Lakers get, as Dad said, the number 2 overall pick 2 years in a row, get Lonzo and Brandon Ingram. Both those guys are now no longer on their team. And then in 2018, last offseason, they signed the best player in basketball and get LeBron James to come over to LA. And what did they get around him? They got the mean team around him. They signed Michael Beasley and JaVale McGee and Caldwell Pope, Clutch Agency, and they wasted a year of LeBron's prime. So all this crap, and we're not even getting into the whole Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, and Jeannie Buss weird thing going on there. And now here we are, June 20th or 19th, whatever we're in, and the Lakers have 2 of the best 3 players in the NBA and are favorites to win the NBA, win the championship. It's just ridiculous. Laker fans are so spoiled. That franchise is terrible, but things just always seem to work out for the Lake Show.
Can I just say that I feel personally attacked though as a Broncos fan who like suffered through like 6 or 7 really, really bad years of just terrible decision after terrible decision. And then all of a sudden had the MVP on the offense and the MVP on the defense on the same team. And I feel like that's exactly what you're saying is like, that is not a real fandom. That's just luck and taking away from people who are actual Cowboys fans and actual Mavericks fans.
Well,
so just throwing that out there.
Here's my thing. Here's what really bothered me. Not bothered me, but just I roll my eyes the most emphatic way I possibly can. Is before the Lakers get LeBron, you see all these people talking about, man, it's so hard going through these lottery years, and man, the Lakers are tough. It's like you had Shaq and Kobe, then you had Kobe's whole career, and then you went through 4 whole years where not only did you stink, but the lottery was great for this past year. They were projected to get the 11th pick, and the lottery gave them the 4th. Everything works out perfect for the Lakers. And I just can't believe they drafted in the lottery 4 years in a row, and now none of those guys are on their team, not one. And their picks for the next 82 years are all in New Orleans. So,
just 82 years. Okay.
But I think that's okay. So we'll see what happens if David Silver does write the script for the NBA.
We'll find out. But you said David earlier too.
Yeah, did I say David earlier too? No, David's. I'm thinking of
David Stern.
Yeah. But so if Adam Silver writes the script for the NBA, then we'll see in the next, because like they shouldn't have a good team after 2025 until like 2046 or something like that. So we'll see if that turns around for him. But they've leveraged everything for this.
Yeah, and I guess the frustration comes because like all these fans out there, there's the us Mavericks fans out there. There's been hard times, and you win the championship, and they have been
all three of you
in the dumpster since. Then there's teams like the Pelicans who went through tough times, and then there's teams like hell. The Charlotte Hornets are over there, just like, really, y'all have had it tough. You guys have had it tough. Look at our team.
Yeah, you don't even know.
And the Lakers fans are like, oh, it's been so tough, but now we went through these 4 tough years for Anthony Davis and LeBron. Oh, give me a break. Shut your mouth. Dad, so did you also see, speaking of the Lakers, it looks like the Boston Celtics are completely imploding. Apparently, Kyrie Irving has ghosted them. I thought that was just a term like young people use to get out of date. He hadn't even taken a Celtics phone call.
Swipe right on Tinder, but you know.
And now Al Horford looks like at one point he was close to restructuring a 3-year deal. Now it looks like he could walk in free agency. So now a year ago, the Celtics had Gordon Hayward was coming back from injury. They had all these good players, assets out the wazoo. And now it looks like Kyrie and Al Horford both are going to walk and not get any compensation for it. And the Celtics are going to be empty-handed. They didn't get the Anthony Davis trade that everyone thought they had the assets to go get. I think NBA – the free agency is going to be wild. I think the teams – I know LJ hates this, but I just think the NBA is going to be –
It's random. It's dice rolls. It's stupid.
Here's the point. Here's why I think this year is so interesting, LJ, is I think especially now with Kawhi possibly leaving the Raptors, the East is wide open. Golden State ravaged with injuries. The West is wide open. All these teams are going to stop worrying about the future, and they're going to bank on now. And I just think the Celtics could look totally different. The Raptors, if Kawhi's gone, could look totally different. Wherever Kawhi goes would be interesting. The Lakers, obviously, we haven't seen Davis and LeBron. The Celtics are going to look different. I mean, everything's going to be wild. I just think it's going to be fun to see what happens the next month.
Well, I can tell you this. I think the Celtics should concentrate on Horford. I mean, because Kyrie's gone, and Horford is their glue guy. I mean, and they need Horford. And you know what? They were pretty damn good without Kyrie and without Gordon
7
Hayward
in the Eastern Conference Finals and almost got to the finals.
They need to get Horford signed, and Horford's getting a little long in the tooth, I know, but I think they need to get him signed, and I think they should be okay because that playing time is going to go back to
Tatum and Brown and
Tatum,
Marcus Smart.
And the point guard off the bench that played pretty well.
Well, Terry Rozier, after the season, Rozier went on First Take and just talked about how shitty the Celtics were, so I think he's kind of on the outs too.
Well, I don't know. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if the Boston Celtics implode. I mean, I don't hate on them, but I would like to see them get that team back together without Kyrie, because Kyrie Irving kind of gets on my damn nerves. Is he a great ball player? Yes. Oh, he's one of the very best, maybe the best small finisher I've ever seen, ever. But he just gets on my nerves because he changes his mind on days that end in Y. It's ridiculous. Bothers me.
Yeah, I'd be scared to throw a 4-year contract at him because he can't keep his mind straight a month at a time. Like, can we just sign him like on a 6-month contract? Just go month to month maybe with him?
Yeah.
At will.
However, I guess I don't have to worry about the Lakers because did you see they're cursed now? Did you see the curse, Dad?
No.
One, you might remember this guy's name, LeVar Ball, has now cursed the Lakers. And he says this will be the worst move the Lakers have ever made. This will come back to bite them. They will never win a championship, blah, 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 blah. If you want to say, anybody who wants to say the Lakers won the trade, just the fact that they got LeVar Ball the hell out of Los Angeles might have been them winning the trade.
And that just made me more of a Lakers fan. So right there.
You guys owe me like a history of the Ball family on the podcast at some point. But
wow,
are they like from are they from the LA area? Or are they like have other move now?
Yeah, Southern Cal.
Okay, so this is actually a huge deal for them then.
Yeah. Yeah, because
this is because LeVar wanted like all his boys to be on the Lakers. It was ridiculous. LeVar.
Well, I mean, and you wanted all your kids to play on the Cowboys, but you gave up that dream when you saw me play middle school.
Yeah, when he saw us on the field.
I said, use your head to make a living, boys. Use your head. You'll starve playing football.
So the NBA wide ass open, and the Lakers are the favorites now, but who knows, that could change after free agency. But if you're looking to gamble, now's the best time to go gamble on the NBA because you can put a long shot bet on the Clippers maybe if they get quiet, who knows. But if you want to go gamble on next year's NBA championship or any of it, why don't you head over to our friends over at MyBookie? They are the best in the business when it comes to gambling, and between their live game betting, endless props, fantasy sports wagers, or future bets for the NBA, They're the best. And right now, they're hooking up our listeners. If you go to MyBookie.ag and use the promo code JPP when creating your account, you can claim 50% bonus. So laying down $100, you already got an extra $50 in play right there. That's MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. Promo code JPP. You play, you win, you get paid. Dad, you mentioned football, and we got to get into it. The Hard Knocks, I didn't know if Hard Knocks could do better than the Browns last year. I thought the Browns were great. The whole Hubie Brown, or what? Not Hubie Brown, Hubie Jackson. I thought all that. Hugh Jackson. I can't speak of names
Jackson,
anymore.
come on.
I like Huey Brown though.
Hugh Jackson's a forgetful name now. I don't think he's getting a job anytime soon because of Hard Knocks. But Hard Knocks was great in Cleveland. Baker, Hugh Jackson.
There's no more Ohio
Todd
teams
Haley,
to go to, so
Greg Williams. And so, how could Hard Knocks ever come up with that? Do something better than that? Top that? Well, we got the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders. We got John Gruden on Hard Knocks. LJ, what do you think? Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I'm going to watch every episode at airtime. This is going to be more exciting for me than Game of Thrones. Although, like, we'll find out. I mean, I'm still on the fence of whether John Gruden's an idiot or a genius, trading away Khalil Mack and all the things that he's decided. So, we'll see. I might come away really depressed. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm pumped about it. I can't wait to see him look foolish because I just feel he's going to.
Well, so, I mean, they've got, Antonio Brown, just him being on Hard Knocks.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it.
I forgot Mr. Big Chest.
I'm looking forward to that.
Big Chest. We get an hour a week of Mr. Big Chest and seeing what color his mustache will be and what kind of hair he'll have. I mean, it's just.
I would just watch Mr. Big Chest and John Gruden sit in an office across from each other silently for a half an hour once a week.
Well, and then if that weren't enough, you've got Vontaze Burfict, maybe the dirtiest player in the NFL.
Yes.
Then you've got Richie Incognito, who,
oh my God.
It should be fantastic. I can't.
This is the all shit team. Al Davis would be so proud of Gruden right now.
And then speaking of Al Davis, we get Mark Davis's hair. We get to watch that. And did you see? It was funny. I was doing some research. I thought I remember hearing something about this. And in March, Mark Davis, there's an ESPN article where he told them, quote, he would rather fire John Gruden than have his team appear on Hard Knocks, saying it would be disruptive to the locker room.
Let's go.
Well, here we are.
Let's do it.
Then,
both of them.
And then their GM, the Raiders GM right now is Mike Mayock, who was a TV analyst for NFL Network this whole time.
Right.
He's a first-time GM. And on top of all of that, they're going through the move to Vegas right now. It just doesn't get any better.
Oh, I'm so excited. That's the only thing that like sours the wound of the Broncos owner not getting to get into the Hall of Fame in his lifetime. That's the only thing that fixes that wound to me. So,
well, while you're on Hard Knocks, I was doing a little, just looking it up at Hard Knocks, and I came across the Rex Ryan, let's just go get a GD snack. and I had to watch that whole little spiel. That was so
I was
good.
I was gonna ask you guys if you had a best Hard Knocks moment, and is that just the
that's it?
Take the cake no matter what.
Yeah, I'm with it.
The New York Jets was the best Hard Knocks I think that I've ever seen. It was the best one. And then
my favorite Hard Knocks moment was the announcement of this year's. I'm just
I'm truly excited. I'm truly excited to see the Raiders on Hard Knocks. I really am. I'm looking forward to it.
And LJ kind of touched on this, so I want to ask your guys' thoughts. But last year, obviously, I felt like we saw just how bad Hugh Jackson was running things, like whether he wouldn't take any advice from any of his assistant coaches or that he wouldn't play Baker Mayfield at all, whatever. I felt like that was the demise of Hugh Jackson. Do you think, what are we going to say after Hard Knocks this year about John Gruden? LJ touched on it. Are we going to think, holy crap, this is worse than we even imagined? Or are we going to be like, wow, John Gruden really has things in line and this could work? LJ, what do you think?
I just can't imagine me coming away thinking he's a genius. I know that I've got this like piece in my mind that like knows that it's possible, but I just can't imagine that piece like in a HBO show being taught otherwise. I think we're going to laugh at him for the entire offseason. That's all I know.
Dad?
Well, I think he'll be better than Hugh Jackson. I'll say that.
We'll see.
Whoa, you're going out on a limb. Be careful
I'm
there.
going out on a limb and saying I think he'll be
you are
better
going
than
out
Hugh
on a
Jackson.
limb. I don't know. We'll see. We will see.
You will see.
A storyline
Kevin, what do
that
you think? You got to give an answer to that too.
Yeah, I actually think we're going to come out of this going, whoa, John Gruden, he might be something. One, he knows how to work the cameras. He's been doing it with ESPN, whether it's his draft room with quarterbacks or NFL or Monday Night Football. He knows how to work the cameras. I think we're going to go, holy cow, I think John Gruden, these crazy, because like Dad mentioned, there are some personalities in that locker room. And I think there's no bigger personality than maybe John Gruden himself. And I kind of think we're gonna come out of this going, holy crap, he might make this somehow work. And like you said, maybe we're leaving Hard Knocks and this season going, maybe he was right in the Khalil Mack trade, because I wouldn't have said that. I don't think he is, but maybe they can change my mind. We'll see.
I don't know. I still buy the Khalil Mack trade a little bit, but that's a whole different conversation we've had multiple times.
By the way, for anyone out there that didn't get to see Rex Ryan's now famous, let's go get a GD snack, we'll post that in the show notes for sure. It's I think it's got to be the pinnacle of the Hard Knock moment. It just was awesome. A storyline I'm really excited to see out of Hard Knocks. It's going to be interesting. Is there the running back that the Raiders drafted late in the first round, Josh Jacobs out of Alabama? He just has a really fascinating story. He was like homeless back in middle school and lived like from hotel to hotel with his dad and 4 siblings. And he was actually a 0-star recruit in his senior year of Tulsa because he didn't have a Twitter. And so he never posted, like all the recruits post like their huddle and highlights and stuff. So no one knew who he was. And like he created Twitter and put his huddle highlight out. And a week later, Alabama offered him a scholarship and he went from a 0-star recruit to a 4-star recruit within a week, because if Alabama offers you, you must be good. So I'm sure Hard Knocks will touch on that story, and Hard Knocks just does it. So it's probably my favorite show when it comes to like sports shows like that. They just do so well with it to me.
I'm pretty into that All or Nothing, by the way, just as like a complete
over on
competitor.
Amazon,
that's
the
a
All or
good show.
Nothings are pretty good.
But yeah, Hard Knocks is the bomb. I'm excited.
Speaking of this isn't Hard Knocks, but it's kind of, we talked about coaches and John Gruden. Did y'all hear the story coming out of Arizona about Cliff Kingsbury, about him spying on his players? Oh, let me tell you about this. So some people rolled their eyes when the Cardinals coach said in the spring that he plans on giving his players cell phone breaks so they can check in with family or check social media or whatever during films and practices. But recently, it's came about that on a podcast a few years ago, Kingsbury said that when he was at Texas Tech, he would have him and his coaches set up a bunch of fake social media accounts using what he called, quote, cute girls as avatars so he could spy on players. He said, quote, we have fake accounts with cute girls that they add right now so we can see what's going on later. We can see who's tweeting what and what they're doing. And those are very heavily monitored. And then he talked about how even though some of the players know we do it, they just can't help but like or accept friend requests from cute girls. And he was asked whether he'll do that in Arizona. And he said, yep. So Arizona players, watch out. Any cute girls you find on Tinder or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram.
You about to get catfish from the king.
We talked about like the craziness of the coaches, like in the Raiders locker, or like Mike Mayock or whoever talked about back in the draft day with the Cowboys, where they would kick people out of the room or they would give them fake stories to see who the snake is. And now we got coaches spying on their players on social media. It'll never get old, the extent that coaches do to try to get the best out of their players. It just cracks me up.
That's
that just reminds me, speaking of Father's Day, I saw recently that Tom Landry, when he would interview or have his people interview players for the draft, he would literally tally how many times they mentioned their dad, because he felt that a player that had a bad relationship with their dad couldn't make a good career in the NFL, which is just an interesting Tom Landryism, I guess, is that he would he would count anytime you mentioned old pops. So we could have made it in the NBA or in the NFL if Tom Landry was interviewing us for the draft.
If Tom Landry would have just interviewed us one time, we'd have been there.
As long as
if we could have made it through college football and not died, physical talent held us back. Crisper, where were you?
So we're getting in. This is just something I thought about, and I want to throw it at you. I haven't really. I know you guys haven't had time to think about it. I didn't want you to. I wanted to just do it off the top of our domes. Now with the finals over, it's kind of a little bit of a slow moment in sports. There's not much going on for the next little bit, but there's the NBA draft. So we got a little, I want to do a little mock draft with you guys, but it's with it because now with sports being over, it's kind of shows like people can catch up on your streaming if you're a big sports watcher. So let's do a little mock draft. We'll go snake draft in order of the best shows of all time on TV. Y'all want to do it real quick? We'll just do like 4 teams.
Okay.
Best shows of all time. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
I guess let's start. Since Father's Day just happened, I guess we'll start with Pops and just go Pops.
And
LJ,
I won the
me,
finals.
and
I should go last.
Yeah. Oh.
Right?
Yeah, well, forget LJ. We'll go Pops, LJ, me in snake draft order. So we'll go that way and then come back and we'll do 4 rounds. So Pops, you get number 1 pick, best show all time.
Best show of all time. This is tough because to me there's 2 contenders.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Breaking Bad.
All
Good
right.
choice.
That's what
That's
I'm
a
going
good
with.
number 1. That's a solid number 1.
That's what I'm going with.
I can't really argue with there. LJ, what are you going with?
I think boy, we were just talking, actually, Hannah and I were just talking about the shows with the best names in television history. And it's hard to fight against like, Weebay and Stringer Bell and McNulty. So I think I'm going Wire number 2 as the best named show in TV and also maybe one of the best shows in TV. So that's my number 2 pick.
The Wire. That was going to be my first round pick. So I like that. there just isn't much better than Marlo and Weebay and D'Angelo and Stringer Bell.
Snoop with the nail gun.
Snoop was crazy. I'll go. So I'm kind of thinking shows that you can we're just shows you can throw on at any time. Doesn't matter if you're in it first season, second season, or one episode.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw The Office out there for my first pick.
Good choice.
Because I feel like I can throw on any episode of any season and be good to go. And I got back-to-back picks. So, and I know.
Shit.
And I know the last season might not have been great, and a lot of people were upset, but I'm still throwing Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is still going to be.
Yeah.
That's my second.
Absolutely. Got to put
wrong.
it in there.
Nah.
Yeah.
Wrong.
I'm with you.
Wrong.
Wrong pick, Il. All right, well, it's your pick now, so what would have been the right pick?
All right. So I'm thinking, God, I've got a lot of options here, and they're all sitcoms is where I'm going now because I've got that drama locked up. So I'm going sitcom, and I'll tell you who I'm picking between. No, I won't tell you who I'm picking between. But I'm going to take, and this is a little off the wall, I'm going to take Curb Your Enthusiasm as my number 2 pick.
Curb's pretty good.
I'm going all HBO, I guess, is what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're just the HBO sponsor team.
Wow.
All right, Dad, what do you got?
Well, so shows. You know what I'm going to go with? This is what I thought about when y'all said a kind of a comedy. Cheers. Cheers was fan-freaking-tastic. I've watched it in what do you call it when you watch it after the fact? When they put it in syndication. I've watched it in syndication so many times. So I'm going to go with Cheers as my next.
You know what?
pick.
I've seen one episode of Cheers and I loved it, but I've seen like Frasier like 17 times front to back. So I don't know like what's wrong with me, I think is what I'm getting at, because I feel like
Cheers was fantastic.
Yeah.
So good.
Well,
Good choice, I think, but I can't tell you for sure.
You get back-to-back picks, Dad, so now you get to go again.
I know this is between 2, so am I going to stay
You
with
probably
comedy?
shouldn't tell us the 2 because then we might.
No, I'm not going to tell you both of them. I'm just telling you there's 2 in my mind.
You're fine. I got my next round picked. So.
I'm going to go with my other one is Seinfeld. Seinfeld was freaking.
I was right there. That's what it was like. Larry David or Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David. That's where I was. So
and Dad, you talked about watching them in syndication. I can remember every day getting home after school. Seinfeld's on TBS right at that time, and it doesn't matter when you jump in. I don't know what I don't even know what the season's really. I just would throw Seinfeld on in any episode.
Just having a French bread pizza and watching Hello.
Anytime I see Kramer bust into the door, it's a good moment for me. All right, El, what do you got?
I'm taking a little bit of an underdog here, and I'm taking the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development, but I'll be happy to take the rest of Arrested Development with it. First 3 seasons are no underdog, but the rest of the series has brought them down lately. So they're an aging star is, I guess, where I'm taking that, but I'm taking them.
I do love me some Arrested Development. Any chance I can get the Bluesen. There was that little moment though that I kind of got lost, but then if you can't kind of push through it, the newer seasons were good too. But the first 3 is classic television.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I got back-to-back picks again. I'm gonna go with for my third. I'm gonna go with Mad Men because I think Mad Men is awesome.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
I can't believe they lasted till round 4. That was into round 3. Okay.
My last pick, and this is tough. I can't decide if I want to go comedy or if I want to go.
I know that's where I'm at too.
I'm going to go with, and I haven't seen enough of it, so it might not be the best pick, but it's kind of what I'm going to catch up on now that I'm throwing out sports for a little while. The Sopranos. And probably a lot of people are upset that they lasted this long.
Good choice.
I'm going to go Sopranos because that's what I'm about to finish up now. So
okay, good choice. I'm watching that right now.
All right. What's your last pick, El?
To round out the mostly HBO team, I'm going to take True Detective.
I forgot about True Detective.
Yep. 2 amazing seasons and 1 season I haven't watched at all. So
yeah, season 1 and season 3 are as good a television I've seen. I mean, they're just so good.
They're amazing 10-hour movies is what they are. But
yeah. All right, Dad. Last pick.
Y'all left me a hell of a pick. Okay, this is my
pick.
Who
we leave?
Ozark. I think Ozark was one of the best ever.
I'm taking True Detective over Ozark. I'm happy with that choice.
I'm taking Ozark over True Detective day in, day out.
All right.
I can't wait for season 3. I just can't wait.
It's soon. I think it comes out like in next month or something.
Can I give an honorable mention? Can we?
Let's throw out some honorable mentions. Yeah, Pops, what do you got? Teams that got left off the draft.
Is one that Hannah and LJ turned me on to is Mindhunter. And Mindhunter comes out in August. I'm really excited about the next season of Mindhunter.
See, I didn't think about that, but it's with it only having 1 season, I don't think it can get on my list yet. But I agree. That first season is fantastic. If you hadn't seen it,
pretty damn good.
I started it and finished it like really fast. I couldn't quit watching it.
Yeah, it was like a day for us. Yeah, we're the same boat. I got an honorable mention.
Yeah, let me hear your honorable mention, and you can throw a couple out.
I'm not going to pick them because I feel like I'm worried about their longevity because they rely on the star of young people, which is a tough place to rest your laurels. But Stranger Things, man,
I thought that's where you might be going. I've kind of forgot about that. There's a new season of Stranger Things coming out too that could be up there. A couple honorable mentions. I don't know. One of these, I'm sure a lot of people will love. Friends. Friends is you can always throw some Friends on. It's a good show.
Yeah.
And then I know LJ will be with me on this one. I got to get JD and Turk in there. Scrubs, baby.
Yeah,
Scrubs. Is a great,
just like
great
7
sitcom.
Seasons though.
Yeah,
you got to cut it off about 7/8 of the way through.
It definitely the final couple seasons kind of fade. So
what I can't believe y'all didn't say. It's not my favorite. Always Sunny. I figured y'all would. One of you would come up with Always Sunny.
Whoa!
What the hell? That blows my mind.
Oh.
I don't know if I would have dropped one of mine. Ooh, but
yeah. I don't know who I dropped, but I feel like I need to. Oh God,
I just knew y'all would say that.
Yeah, I was sitting here happy knowing that I hadn't even thought of them. Like now I'm disappointed with ignorance is bliss. I think is the saying.
Wow, I can't believe we forgot. Yeah, look at Dad coming through with the big one.
Wow. Another one I'm going to throw out there is the number 1 best names in television shows of all time is Parks and Recreation. That has got the best naming of any characters of all time. So Parks and Rec would have been my number.
I've only watched
6
one
after
episode
Always
of Parks
Sunny.
and Rec.
See,
you got to burn through the first season because the first season is not the same show as the rest of the show. But the second through 8th season are all amazing.
So I got one more strange one to kind of tell you guys, and I've never watched it. Have either one of you watched Justified? Ever watched Justified?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I've heard it's good, and I mean honestly, and this happened like a week ago. I've had 5 unconnected people, completely unconnected to one another, come up and say that I am like Wallace Gardner or what? You know what I'm talking about?
No, of course I don't know.
He's in it. Well, he was also in Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which we just
Angelina Jolie.
No, it's not Angelina Jolie. Good Lord!
I don't even see this. I put in Justified in that name, and nothing even popped up.
Wallace Gardner or Walton Gardner or something like that. I mean, it's weird.
Samuel L. Jackson.
No, it's not Samuel L. Jackson.
Brad Pitt.
Okay, it was Brad Pitt. Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins. Yes, I've had like 5 different people completely unconnected, and it was something about the way he talked. Apparently, I don't think I look like him, but I've had 5 people seriously come up and tell me you're Walton Goddard or Goggins, and
get his name right if you're going to keep throwing it. Yeah.
So if you're going to live as this man.
So I think I'm going to watch Justified. That's going to be a show that I'm going to probably
a couple other shows that I haven't watched but I know are good is Deadwood and Sons of Anarchy. I want to watch those two.
Sons of Anarchy is really good. And I just started. I'm finished season 1 of Billions. Billions is awesome, especially if you're interested at
I don't
all
even
in
know
stocks and
billions.
stuff, it's a Showtime show. It's super cool. But so there's plenty of options. We've thrown out all kinds of options for TV shows and different stuff to watch while you're in the sports kind of dead zone.
Yeah.
Let's go. We kind of were trying to. I don't know if we nailed down a GOAT TV show, but
Can I take a piss real quick? Just real quick.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry.
Do we leave that in? Do we leave that part in?
Yeah, I'll leave it in.
No, hey, go record it. Go record it.
What's up, fools?
LJ, you feel better?
I feel fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Good. I'm so glad. So load off your kidneys.
All right, so I don't know. We just rattle off a bunch of really good shows, and I don't know which show is the greatest of all time. But apparently, you guys have. I don't know exactly how to say this guy's name, but when it comes to goats, Gaius Appius Diocles. Oh, Dad, you just want to fix that
Okay,
for me?
I believe the way you say it is Gaius
I think so.
Appius Diocles. I mean, I had it better. Wait, Gaius Appius Diocles. Is that close, Hill?
I think I would say Apellius, but yeah, everything else is perfect as far as I would guess it. So,
Well, so tell him who it is.
Well,
Kiddo.
so Gaius may be the GOAT, right? And actually, if you haven't heard of Gaius, you're not alone. I didn't know who. I thought LJ like had a typo and like drunk texted us when he was like, also you need to look up and like put in a bunch of different random letters. He was a Roman charioteer who became the most celebrated athlete maybe in all of ancient history.
Maybe.
LJ, I don't
Maybe
know
of all time.
I don't know
Well,
all
yeah,
the
so-
details. I just kind of started going through his Wikipedia page. LJ, tell us some more.
let me actually. Who do you think is the most well-paid athlete of all time? And I understand now the context of asking this question totally skews that. But who would you have guessed normally?
Probably like Floyd Mayweather or Messi
Good answer.
or Ronaldo.
Good answer.
Maybe. I don't know.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is the second best paid athlete of all time, and
Tiger
someone who
Woods.
has earned. Tiger Woods is in the like top 6. Messi's in the top 6. I think Mayweather's up there too. But so Michael Jordan's number 2. Number 1 is 15 times more well paid than Michael Jordan, according to some estimates. 15
Is this our boy
times.
Gaius?
Yeah, this is our boy Gaius. And so what he
What do they
has
pay him
earned in
back?
his so they're called sesterces,
I think that's
which
right.
is a Greek or I'm sorry, a Roman currency that was essentially, well, I think the hard thing is figuring out what that was equivalent to. But if you imagine, one of the things we know is that he was able to pay for one, an entire year's supply of grain to the entire city of Rome, which, if you think about what that is, the entire city of Rome was the same population-wise as the city of Austin. And there are two things that Romans were known to love, and that was chariot racing and bread. So the amount of grain that the city of Rome probably went through was probably phenomenal. And then...
That reminds me of the whole Mansa Musa story he told us a while back.
Right. It's very similar to Mansa Musa. History is full of wealthy people.
All right. Sorry for
And
interrupting.
no, not at all. The one thing that sticks to me, so he allegedly would be worth over 15 billion in today's money. But the way that we get that, here's the interesting thing to me. Here's what I've been thinking about a lot is like, so 15 billion, we're talking about like Tiger Woods. It was a big deal breaking $1 billion because he was like maybe the second or third athlete to have ever done that in history besides the Roman chariot racers. But getting to 15 billion or the equivalent of is insane. But so how do we figure that out? Well, we know that he could pay the Roman army for a fifth of a year. And so somebody did the math, and because like, how would you figure out what a sesterces is, or a sesterza compared to $1? Like, what would you do to figure that out? Like, what would you think about?
Google. I would Google it.
Right. Okay. But,
Roman
like, so
to English,
logically,
translate.
So one of the factors that we have in modern economics is the Big Mac factor, or the Big Mac index. And so the idea is like, if I spend, say, $2.25 for a Big Mac in Chicago, and I spend, €6 for a Big Mac in Switzerland, then our currency, that would be exactly what our currencies are valued at compared to each other. Does that make sense? That's the Big
Okay.
Mac index.
So how much do they pay for
And
Big Macs
so-
back in Rome?
That's a hard question to answer
hard
because
one.
McDonald's they didn't have quite the stronghold that they have nowadays.
Well, you see, Dad, they call it a Royale with cheese.
They call it a Royale with cheese.
Right, this is in Italy. This is in Rome. So so that's the thing is like, can you so when you think about the Big Mac Index, you think about like, okay, so maybe we compare the price of bread, except for the fact that like we have scienced the hell out of wheat and growing wheat, and also have factories to actually make our bread for us. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. And so one of the things that they thought about is the fact that the Roman Empire at that time ran from Spain to Turkey and then all the way as far as north as like Germany. And so they basically ran all of Europe. So their army had to be huge. And the US's army is the biggest in the world currently. And so maybe those two things are comparable. And if you compare 1/5 of the year for the US military, that's the equivalent to about $15 billion. And so if he could hold that money down, then that's how much he was worth. It's a tough thing to consider though, because like, I don't know. It depends on what math, like, at some point you can say that his value is like $4 million. If you look at the price of, bread compared to Romans versus bread compared to today. And it's, yeah.
So this dude was like the Iron Bank. I mean, he's like Cersei buying the Golden Company. He could buy a freaking army.
Well, and one thing that they say,
he got more bang for his buck in his army than Cersei got with the Golden Company, because they didn't last a whole lot. But
it would be hard not to. I think I could get more bang from a buck if I hired a couple of guys from, I don't know, the Chicago Bears to stand up to a dragon. I'd have a little bit more luck. But he could make he had 5 times the amount of wealth as what was required to be a Roman senator, and I believe a Roman senator essentially had to have what essentially was the wealth of like a Bill Gates or an Elon Musk, because you were like one of the 28 people that ruled the world at that point. And so, you know, if you think, well, what's 5 times what Elon Musk is worth? Well, then you're talking about, because he's worth $15 billion. So then you're talking about just astronomical amounts of money just from his winnings. And that's the other thing, is that's just from his winnings as a chariot racer. It has nothing to do with his endorsement deals, which they did have in ancient Rome. We know that they have endorsements of, gladiators and chariot racers having billboards up of them endorsing. I mean, I don't know if it's sandals, but they endorse different products in billboard form. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he probably made a lot more money than that. That's just his earnings from being a champion, and also from racing for 24 years in a world where chariot racers generally lasted like 6 or 7, because it was a really common way to die if you were a chariot racer, was to die in a race. So,
geez, so he's like the Wayne Gretzky of chariot racing, or the Michael Jordan.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that's another thing, is like, I'm trying to think of the greatest of all time athletes. And then as I'm like reading about this guy, Dr. Payne of Just Press Play fame.
Shout out to Dr. Payne.
Oh, is that his claim to fame, that he's just play?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's either that or he's really good at StarCraft, but like, I think I could beat him. So like, challenge thrown out there. But no, Dr. Payne just happened to message me on Facebook and tell me there's a really interesting fact about Wayne Gretzky. And so he is the fastest person ever to get 1,000 points in his career. That shouldn't surprise anybody. He's the greatest hockey player to ever played. And then number 2 in that list is Mario Lemieux. But you know, actually number 2 in that list is Wayne Gretzky getting from 1001 to 2000. He got to 2000 from 1001 faster than anybody else has ever gotten to 1000. So he is the number 1 and number 2 on the list of fastest players to get to 1,000 points in their career.
Well, I'd have to look it up now, but I believe if you look up like most points by any hockey player, he's like, you can combine 2, 3, and 4 or something, and he's still beating them or something.
He also has the top 9 of 11 best seasons of a player ever. I think we mentioned this when we did the Go to Goats podcast a long time ago, but him and his brother are the highest scoring siblings in NHL history, and his brother scored 1 goal. So
that, wow. I think is my favorite stat. If I'm his brother, I'm throwing that stat out all the time.
Yeah, me and Wayne are the highest scoring siblings in the
Every time
NHL.
I'm getting a drink at the bar, I'm going to be like, well, you know, me and my brother are actually the highest scoring siblings ever in the NHL. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and how many did you have, Wilbur?
Don't worry about the fine print.
How many did you have, Wilbur Gretzky?
So Gaius is the shit when it comes to racing, especially chariot racing.
You know what? Another thing. So one of the reasons that we know about how much he was worth is because somebody commissioned a statue to show how great he is, and it might have been him because he had the money. But that's one of the reasons that we have any idea of how much money he won, because someone made a statue of him. If you look him up on Wikipedia, you can see the statue, and then the plaque on it describes how much money he's won from every race in his career. So it would probably be somebody that was relatively close to him. But we do know that there's someone who won more races than him. We know the exact amount of dollars that old Gaius got, but we don't know of any other chariot racers and how much they got. There are people that have won more than him, which is, to me, incredible.
Holy crap. I'm just reading his Wikipedia, and it looks like he also gives back to his hometown. He became known as the Lamechus, which then brought fame to his renown to his native ancient city of Lamechum, and that's where they built that statue from. I mean, he sounds like, he might have been a good dude too, and he also won 1,462 races. He
put Spain and Portugal on the map.
Holy cow.
He was a foreigner who won a race outside of Spain, and all of a sudden he got pulled up to the big leagues. And another interesting thing about him is there are 4 factions in Roman racing back in the day, and they were all colors. So it was the reds, the whites, the blues, and the greens. And he started driving for the whites when he was 18 years old, went for 6 years, then switched to the greens, who were like a more prestigious group. And then he did that for 3 years. And then he switched to the Reds, who were like the shit group of everybody.
Like shit it, not
drove
a good
for them
way.
for 15 years. So
right.
he was
the red team was
right. He would in fact make a point to be losing the race for, I think it was a 7-lap race around what is essentially, I think 15 football fields or something like that they would race around. And he would lose for the first 7 laps. And then in the last second of the last lap, he would catch up and win because he knew it brought more drama, which brought more notoriety to him. He was the money chaser of ancient Rome. He was what a lot of people would call the KD of ancient Rome. So,
that is interesting. I saw that too, LJ.
Yeah,
like he
would
hold back so he could win right at the finish line.
Yeah.
To bring the intrigue and the excitement into it, which made him hugely rich. So, I mean, he's a pretty smart guy.
I don't know of any athlete that would intentionally lose for the first half of a game just to come back and try to win. I mean, one could argue that John Elway did that for a lot of his career, but I think truthfully the Broncos were just that bad.
Yeah, I don't think that was on purpose.
Well, either way, this Gaius dude is freaking interesting. But go look him up. The more I read his Wikipedia, the more I've realized I can't say half of these words on here. But also, he's just super interesting. And I don't know if I was gonna tell you about some of our friends. I don't know if they could get you a ticket to the Roman chariot racing, but our friends
they might.
What good are they?
Get you anywhere else. Right now, our friends from SeatGeek are actually hooking up the listeners of the JPP pod. And if you go over to SeatGeek and put in the promo code ACAA for Armchair All-Americans, we're also put our pod out on their network. And right now, if you put in ACAA into SeatGeek, you can get a $20 off your first purchase. And SeatGeek works out so awesome. Like, you don't have to worry about getting bad tickets or something being in front of you or bad visual where you're sitting. They have they have the red thing, a red dot if it's a bad ticket, whether your seat, like the price is too much for the seat you're actually getting. They have a yellow dot if the ticket's it's okay, but it's not a steal. And then they have the green dots for the ones that are getting the best bang for your buck. So SeatGeek really helps you out because, like, with all the different online ticket services, it's hard to make sure you're getting the right seat. But SeatGeek takes that hassle out from you. And like I said, listeners of the JPP pod can get $20 off their first ticket, whether it's at, I don't know if you'll be able to get to chariot racing, but wherever you're trying to go to, $20 off your first ticket. Life is an event, and SeatGeek has the tickets. Speaking of racing, Dad, you mentioned before we got onto the recording, you mentioned our boy. I don't know if I've only seen the Twitter highlights of him, and they're insane. But our boy White Lightning, I don't remember his
Lightning.
What's his actual name? He's a track star.
His name is Matthew Bowling. Well, I can tell you that White Lightning is a senior at Strake Jesuit High down near Katy, Texas.
Okay, so Sam McGuffey Town.
Sam McGuffey Town. I can tell you this: he has a fraternal twin who was the valedictorian of the class, by the way.
Boy.
Oh God.
I can tell you
Good family.
that Mr. Bowling has a 4.2 GPA.
What's his name? What's his name?
Matthew Bowling.
Oh, okay.
Bowling. Let's see. He's run the 100 meters in 10.13. I think that like Usain Bolt was 9.86 or something. I mean, which there's a huge difference between 10.1 and 9.8.
I was about to say, I
mean,
actually. So here's the one thing I know about him is he ran a 9.98 wind assisted, right? Which is like absolutely incredible. I can't even wrap my mind around how fast that is. And then the next thing that the video I was watching said was he was only 0.4 of a second off of Usain Bolt's record, which 0.4 of a second in the 100-meter dash is like essentially an eternity. Like that is unbelievable, the amount of time that is in a 0.4 of a second at 100 meters. So I just could not help but like lose respect for this guy, trying to compare him to Usain Bolt for just getting a sub 10. Like the last time that he would have broken a record, your amazing wife wasn't even born yet. The last time that was a world record. So comparing him to Usain Bolt is absurd. But anyway,
Well, what's interesting, I can't tell you the last time I knew the name of any high school senior
sure,
athletic or track star. And I would probably say the reason Matthew Bowling is becoming a name is because he's white. And the Twitter video, he kind of went crazy on Twitter because it was just this white guy who was just blowing the doors off of everyone he raced. And we'll post some in the show notes. It's fascinating to see him run because he's just so dang fast.
he is
so
faster
much
than everybody else on the track
than
no
everyone
doubt.
around. But that gave him the nickname White Lightning or whatever, at least for some people on different internet sources. But Dad, were you saying before we started recording he's not a big fan of the White Lightning?
He is not a fan of it. And this kid he's just like, hey, I'm fast. This is, what do you call it? A meritocracy. He said, if I run fast, I just want to lay down a good time. White, black, Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter. Just let me run.
Right.
As a matter of fact,
defined by his whiteness. Yeah.
by the way, Ted Ginn Jr., who is plays for the New Orleans Saints, apparently
former OSU
apparently tweeted something out that he would race anybody for $10,000, and this kid Instagrammed me back, said bet. So I mean, we'll see if that ever takes place.
Put your money where your mouth is, Ted.
Well, but I know Katie's a wealthy area, but $10,000 is a lot to put on a race against a former NFL athlete. So
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the guy's got some confidence. I think he is often described as confident. I don't know. A lot of times that means cocky.
A little cocky.
I'm telling you,
But then again, maybe
I would be too.
I would be too. I'd be hard to deal with. If I was a senior in high school and could outrun everybody, I'd be hard to deal with. And then,
but I'll just say, I saw Usain Bolt was the fastest person in all of Jamaica when he was 15 years old. So like, I'm not too worried about this guy being as big of a deal as he sounds like he should be. I'm just throwing that out there that he's got a long way to go.
I think it's fair to say that he is getting some notoriety because of the color of his skin, because he stands out in the world of sprinters because of the color of his skin. Right, wrong, indifferent.
Well, but also, damn, he's fun to watch. Like, it is fun to watch somebody just dominate the field. It's the same with Sam McGuffey back in the day.
No doubt.
Is watching him hurdle people. Oh, my God, it's just too much fun to watch.
And what happened to Sam McGuffey? I don't know. He did
nothing.
Not much. So the jury's still out on this kid, but he is interesting to watch. He's got a full ride scholarship to University of Georgia, which apparently has a really good track team. And he's laid down a pretty good.
Fayetteville. Am I right?
Well, I think, but Fayetteville is more of a long distance, I think, track team.
That's true. Yeah. That's
where
true.
Georgia's
Good
more
point.
sprints. He's really good in the long jump. He's done a 26.3.5 long jump, which I think may or may not be a record in high school. But the best jump was 29 feet. And again, those 3 feet, kind of like we've mentioned or alluded to in sprinting, those few tenths of a second, those few feet in a long jump are huge differences. Right. But certainly he's on track to be somebody that's worth watching. He's definitely somebody to keep your eye on.
I'm interested to see how this goes too. I mean, there's no doubt, whether right, wrong, and different, like you said, there's no doubt that just seeing when you see something that's just different than the norm, we just haven't seen a white guy be a great sprinter. For whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to happen. All the best sprinters in U.S. history from that I know of are black athletes, and so I think it's going to catch some people by storm. And I'm interested to see how it goes further. You kind of
Carl Lewis,
but at some point, who gives a damn what color it is? It's just fun to watch him just blow these dudes away. I mean, he's just sprinting is kind of the glory, the glamour sport of track and field. Wouldn't you guys say, like,
oh yeah,
when the Olympics come on, we don't turn to watch, although I'll watch some of them. You don't turn to watch the long distance or the hurdles, or you watch the main thing you're making sure to watch.
Stupid damn sport where they run through the puddle of water and like act like that's a big deal. Have you seen that?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I've seen.
I'll have to look up some videos.
Yeah.
There's like a sport where you do like a couple of hurdles and then run through like, I don't know, 100 meters of water on the track as if that's it's the stupidest sport. But yeah,
I don't know. It's fun. We'll put some show notes up, but Matthew Bowling it's definitely interesting to see what ends up happening with him. I think he could be I think he'll be in the not junior Olympics maybe, but
no, they're talking about the 20. Is it the 22?
Under 22, the real deal Olympics.
Could he be in the real deal Olympics?
Yeah. I
mean, with the sub 10 time, he qualifies. I think
his times would qualify him for the Olympics potentially.
I don't think he would be like a favorite, but I think he would definitely be somebody that would be allowed to.
And remember, this kid's 18, so that is not your prime. Your prime sprinting, I would think, would probably be 24ish, 25. That's an interesting.
I'm gonna put together a spreadsheet. I would love to know when most records are set,
at
or
what
something
age?
Like that, because that would be a really. Because like I feel like we know about most sports, but I don't know anything about what is a good age to be a sprinter. I feel like you're probably right. It's something mid-20s, late 20s, but not much older, not much younger.
Well, and I think we need to try to find this and put it on the website. But one of the most fascinating things is he ran this 4x100 relay, and he was the anchor leg. And actually, he hadn't run that before. They needed a guy because the other guy got hurt or something happened, and he
just jumps in.
I bet. Well, he jumps in, and he probably starts the anchor leg. I mean, I'm trying to be realistic, 20 yards maybe behind the guy, maybe 25. But I mean, this guy's sprinting in front of him. And I mean, in a lap, so it may not be 4x100, it may be 4x200 because it's a full lap around a quarter mile.
It was the mile relay probably, right?
I guess it's the mile relay because it looks like a quarter mile that he's running. But he catches him and soundly beats the guy. It's an amazing thing to see him come from that far behind and wind up winning.
And I'm just scrolling through now an article from the Houston Chronicle, and they kind of talk about that, but they talk about just how everything he's really done this year, he's been really, really good at it. And the Georgia coach said that they're still considering all events for Bowling to compete in at the collegiate level. But as they put in this article, his future is ultimately going to be whatever he wants it to be. And that includes, as we mentioned, Olympics and pro career. He's actually already raced in the international, or he's already has international experience because he raced in the U.S. mile relay last summer for the under 20 world championship. So the dude,
I'm curious to what is the career for a track and field sprinter outside of the Olympics? Like, are there? I mean, I know that there's like pro-ams and I know that there's like invitationals, but is it endorsements that you're making your money on? Because like also to compete in the Olympics,
you get appearance fees for some track and field meets. I know Usain Bolt and Carl Lewis, two of the most famous that I'm aware of, would get appearance fees for showing up and running.
Well, and we all know that Usain Bolt's endorsements
are where they make their money. I think that's exactly where they make all their money.
It's fun. It's fun to watch him. I'll be interested to see where his career goes from here. Like, does he get does he get a little too big for his britches and flame out? Does he?
Oh, I sure would.
I know we talked about earlier being a little cocky or whatever. If I was getting compared to Usain Bolt in my senior year, I'd probably be a little big headed myself. I'd be I'd be feeling some Kevin. Doubt. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Well, speaking of running, I know I'm not running quite as fast as Matthew Bowen. I don't think any of us are. But when any of us are running / jogging / walking a lot of times, I'm probably going to put some music on. So that's kind of where I get my what we're listening to. And I don't think we're going to do it this week, El, but I've been doing some homework on the Led Zeppelin stuff.
Yeah, I hope you have. I hope you've listened to Led Zeppelin 1. I think like we want to hold off a little bit, but I do want to ask, as like maybe some listeners join us on this journey, Pops, I know you were a bit of a young man at the time in 1969?
Yeah, I was 4 years old, by the way. So.
You were a little dude. Do you have any idea, though, like what we should be going in? Like, I think you have an idea of like critical perception of Led Zeppelin, right? Like what at this time do you feel like the perception of Led Zeppelin was? Like, should we be expecting that people thought this was the greatest band of all time or nah?
And of course, at 4 years old, I wasn't listening to a lot of music.
You didn't buy this album, blow off the dust, and put it in your.
I was
record
watching
player,
freaking Sesame Street and Romper Room. Okay, at 4 years old, the Jetsons.
Yeah,
whatever.
but I can imagine your parents listening to Inagata Devita and throwing on some Led Zeppelin or something.
Yeah.
I mean, no, they'd listen to Hank Williams, but
my parents didn't listen to
some
that kind of
psychedelic
stuff.
rock. I could. Yeah,
but I think what happened was that Led Zeppelin put together music, and I don't want to get into it too much, but they sounded different than everybody else. They fused soul and blues and rock and roll.
Definitely.
It's kind of it's like hard blues. It's like hard rock blues, and they did it. And I listened to the top 40. And then you listen to Led Zeppelin 1. It's different. It's very different. It's just different, and it caught.
We'll go in depth for sure, but yeah, you're exactly right. And a lot of things I've read about Led Zeppelin is the idea that there were a lot of bands in England trying to play the blues, and which is obviously like an American invention, right? It was a Delta Mississippi, Delta Arkansas sort of invention, a New Orleans invention, and Led Zeppelin was one of the early bands outside of like the Yardbirds, I think were pretty successful, but one of the early bands to really take the blues and elevate it into a whole new genre, if you will. And I think maybe something to think about for next week as we really dive into Led Zeppelin 1 is maybe you guys see, I think that Led Zeppelin might be the first metal band to ever have existed. And let's maybe talk about that in a week. But
absolutely. Yeah. Let's don't ruin it. Yeah. But yes, I think exactly. I love the road you're going down, and I am anxious to do it. Sports is about to get slow. We're going to have some time to talk about music, and I love me some music.
That's one of y'all's.
Between our free agency talks
here. Yeah. Well, we'll have, obviously free agency is the most important thing, LJ. But
right. We'll start with the free agency, but we'll get to Led Zeppelin.
Both show.
I do want to throw out, I was listening to a buddy of mine, Labat. Y'all know Labat. He put me on this. He knows that he's a big fan of Tiny Desk as well, and he found a newer one. I don't know if it's new to Tiny Desk or if it's just new to us, but I want to throw out, and we'll put it in the show notes, but Leanne LaHavas, I'm not really sure her last name, but I'll put it in there, and you guys need to watch it. She sings, plays guitar. I mean, she's also gorgeous. She has this British accent.
Never hurts.
She's just amazing. And he kind of, I was actually, he texted me about it. I was like, oh, you gotta check this out. You gotta check this out. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm sure you're overhyping it. She's really, really good. And I'm about to start checking her out on Spotify too.
Really, really pretty.
and very pretty. And that British
and
accent.
A foreign accent, man.
And she picks up the guitar. She's but she is super talented. And Leanne LaHavas, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but I'll put the Tiny Desk in show notes. She's really, really cool. I just love those Tiny Desks. I can't get enough of them, Milge. I'm so glad that you put them on those.
Yeah, they're cool.
Oh, they're so fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, that'll probably do it for another episode. Do you guys have any honorable, or do you want to throw what we're listening to, or are we still?
Yeah, I'll throw what I'm listening to.
Okay.
So this is absurd, and I don't expect anybody who's listening to this to go listen to that. But there's this album by a composer named Max Richter, who you guys will have heard his work because it was the music that Hannah walked down the aisle to, Max Richter's Spring One. But he has an album out called Sleep, and said album is 8 hours long. So
holy cow.
I don't expect anybody to listen to that entire album, but I've loved it. It's very droney and very cinematic. It's really interesting. But it is he is a very talented composer. So if anybody's into that sort of thing, like definitely go check out Max Richter's Sleep and just kind of skip around this 8-hour playlist. That's what I'm throwing out.
Okay.
Pops, I know you've been listening to some of that Led Zeppelin, but you got anything?
Certainly been listening to Led Zeppelin, but I will say I got to talking about this with my buddy Dr. Doug, and he kind of got me on the Beatles. We started having a really interesting conversation about the Beatles and talking about paradigm shifts in music and stuff like that.
That might be part 2 of the masterclass.
Exactly. I was going to suggest that because the Beatles were amazing, and I was never that huge of a fan, but the older I get, the more I appreciate them.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. Abbey Road is in contention for the best album of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, Sgt.
And I
Pepper's
said
is
that
up there too,
of
though.
all time.
Sgt. Pepper's is
I
right
think,
there on that list.
Rolling Stones typically says it's the best album of all time. You know, it's that or Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
Yeah, which is a great album for sure.
Which is a great album, but personally, Abbey Road. That's what
Let
I'm going to say.
though?
Abbey Road,
I mean,
the Beatles. Oh,
there's so many
beautiful.
great albums from the Beatles. Like I feel like the top 10 of the world include mostly Beatles albums.
Absolutely, I would agree.
You know,
with that.
I can't really tell you. I have not listened to much Beatles at all.
That is definitely our next masterclass.
All I know is the hits. Really, I know like the big hit. I mean, they're all hits, but like the big ones I know.
Sure.
But other than that, probably.
But you know, the funny thing to me is like when the Beatles started, they were like the Justin Bieber of the world, right? Like they were like this, like teen girls loved them and adults didn't understand why anybody would care about them. And they have lived on to be the most important musicians to have ever existed outside of like Beethoven, Mozart, and Handel. You know, like they're like right up there with the greatest composers to ever have existed. And so it's interesting to think that they started out in the exact same boat as this, you know, just teenage dreamboats that Justin Bieber and
but that made real music.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were the Justin Bieber of the day, but then they wound up making beautiful
well, and they always
music.
did, right? Like even their early stuff is not shit, right? Like their early stuff is good music. Like everything that they've ever created has been inventive and interesting. And so it makes you wonder, like, what in modern day is the Beatles? Is there a such thing as a modern day Beatles? Like, who knows? We might be able to answer that question in 50 years, but yeah, no, they're a special band for sure.
Beatles. I gotta get some more Beatles in my life. Maybe you're all right. That might be after we do the Led Zepp. We might have to do some Beatles stuff.
We will.
I definitely.
And then we'll have like some side weeks of like McCartney and some Lennon because. Well, and some Harrison. I mean, Ringo, we don't have to worry about too much, but
and the Beatles have a good conspiracy theory, right? Isn't one of them a hologram
Paul's
or
dead.
fake?
Paul's always been
Paul's
dead, and he's the only one alive right now. So, or is Ringo alive?
Well, no.
But
okay,
Paul has been dead.
We're not going to get down this rabbit hole because
that's why he's wearing shoes. There are no shoes.
We could be here all day. Don't even get me started on the conspiracy.
You threw down a conspiracy I enjoy.
That'll do another episode of the JPP Pod. Appreciate you sticking with us and listening to us. We'll hit the Led Zepp next week and a lot of other stuff. I can't wait. By the way, check us out on our website at jpppod.com or on our Facebook or Twitter. Just type in Just Press Play and we will pop up.
By the way, huge shout out to Kevin and Pops for keeping up the website and the what we're listening to. I just want to I get a lot of credit for the shitty editing that is always late, but you guys don't get any credit for that shit that's always on time. So huge shout out to you guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks, but L does a lot. I would say
a lot of the heavy lifting.
I would use a different term, a different adjective for the editing personally, but you know.
Oh well. Okay. Well, lately.
Speaking of the show notes, I'll put. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little I don't know how I'll put it on there, but at some point there'll be our draft of the best shows of all time. Yeah. Put a little honorable mentions. If you have any comments or did we miss something or we're just completely wrong, reach out to us either Facebook, Twitter, or on the website, justpressplaypod.com into the show notes. Let us know. And guys, I guess that'll do it for another week. I'll talk to you next week. Happy Father's Day once again, Pops.
Thank you guys.
Happy Father's Day.
That's right. Love y'all. Peace.
Love you. Peace.
Hey, before we start recording, though, I did want to throw out to you guys. So in this Diocles thing, I looked up. I wanted to know what the difference between a million and a billion is, right? Because those are two numbers that in my head I have no idea what those mean, right? I mean, you guys. Okay, so 1 million seconds is 11 and a half days. Okay, can you wrap your head around that? 1 million seconds is 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds, 31 years and 9 months. Yes. Huge difference in that one letter change. Yeah. So when you're talking about some player signed a $6 million deal compared to Michael Jordan making $1.7 billion over his career, we're talking the difference between days and years is what we're talking about.
Speaking of a big difference, you were talking about how he's Diocles is the richest athlete at 15 billion. Is that what it said?
Yeah, 15.3.
You know what? Do you know what Jeff Bezos is worth?
Well, how much?
154 billion.
God, that's disgusting. Okay, so that means that he is one order of magnitude away from a trillion. Do you know how many seconds a trillion seconds is in years?
133 years. I don't know.
Way off. It's 31,710 years. Yeah. So holy cow! Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it. I know those numbers. I think that's the thing is like the human brain can understand like 4 and 6 and 3, but like once you get to like 15, you start getting a little hazy, and once you get to a million, like it doesn't matter. Like those things just don't exist. So, well, think of it. A billion is 1,000 million. Yeah, I know, which is a stupid number. So a trillion is a million millions. It's a million or 1,000 billion. It's unbelievable. So stupid.